Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to a Monday night. It is the Earthmaster here, about 10:50 p.m., March 25th, 2024. Latest activity on the Earthquake 3D globe there shows, let's go back here and check that out. Looks like a 3.9 earthquake here across the area of the Java Trench. That is the latest quake there on the globe. We're going to cover space weather activity first here, since it is somewhat of a hot topic, and we're still looking at a decent sunspot area here, 3615. Still within view of the Earth, obviously, and still quite complex. A very large, complex sunspot here that's been the source of many, many M flares here recently. Our region up here to the north, the most recent X flare producer and the CME producer here is, well, it's kind of dwindling away. There's a couple other regional sunspots behind this one, but all of these look fairly stable in terms of complexity. About the only one noteworthy right now producing some significant flares is going to be this area down here. Again, that's going to be 3615. We'll continue to watch that. Overall threat right now, 25% chance for an X flare. Proton event still elevated, around 99%. M flare at 85, and the C flare 99% chance. We're still seeing some proton events going on here. It's getting a little bit weaker, but this has been going on here ever since the X flare a couple days ago. So still getting some charged protons there up into the ionosphere. Aside from that, unfortunately, no auroras in the forecast for now. We'll continue to watch it, though, as far as that sunspot goes, and maybe we'll get another eruptive event here soon. All right, earthquake activity, zooming in here to the Southern California region. Got a handful of smaller quakes off the San Jacinto fault zone. Nothing major going on there for tonight. Let's glance at the 2.5 map and above for California. It brings it down quite a bit. We did see a 3.1. This was about midnight last night, so we're coming up on 24 hours there for that 3.1. Since then, really not a whole lot, aside from the microquakes down here in Southern California. So just typical movement out there across the plate boundary. A little bit of earthquake activity here in Northern California along the Cascadia subduction zone. Way up north here around the Blanco fracture zone. Looks like we've seen a 3.7 earlier this evening. Aside from that, a little small microquake activity up here across the Cascades. Nothing big going on. A quick glance at the map here of the tremor shows about 43 epicenters here across the area of the Vancouver Island range there outside of Victoria, and a little bit here underneath the Oregon area. Let me double check the Canada map here real quick and see what's going on. I do like to check them for earthquakes that take place, obviously not only in Canada, but this section here off the coast of the BC region. Let's see, let's bring up the plate boundaries and the legend down here. Going to show, well, not a whole lot of newer activity. In fact, goodness, it doesn't look like a whole lot of activity at all up there across Canada for now. Latest quake shows a little cluster going on here outside of the Quebec area. That's going to be a, looks like a 1.6, one of the latest quakes up there into the Canada area. Aside from that, a lot of this is some older movement quakes up there. The rest of the country here, as far as the states go, one lonesome earthquake here outside of the Yellowstone National Park by Kelly, Wyoming, about 8.6 kilometers deep. Looks like it's over in this mountain range here. Let's double check the Yellowstone map here and see what's going on. That 2.8 there will probably, or 2.5, excuse me, did show up pretty nicely across a couple of these stations there that are located south around the Yellowstone National Park. That's going to be this reading right here. Pretty decent signature for a 2.5. Aside from that, really not seeing anything major going on here. This kind of looks like earthquake activity, but really not seeing it showing up too much across any of the seismograph stations, except for maybe this one. So maybe there is a hint of some very small microquake activity limited to the Pitchstone Plateau area. Aside from that, the rest of Yellowstone National Park here looks pretty quiet. Backing out here, checking out the rest of the states. Really not a whole lot going on, aside from some minimal activity out there across the oil fields in Oklahoma and Texas area. So what else we got going on worldwide here? Not too big of an event today. It's actually been fairly quiet in terms of larger scale movement. A lot of older activity here on the globe. And stand by for just a second. Grab me a little drink here. I normally keep one handy, but I had to reach over and grab one. But yeah, this is the last 24 hours, I believe. Let me double check, make sure that's right about here. And there's really not a whole lot of newer large earthquake activity on the map. A lot of older movement here across the Indonesia Islands area. There's our 5.5 down south of New Zealand around the Macquarie Island region. New Zealand still seeing some activity along the plate boundary there in the South Island area. Looks like a little bit of movement offshore as well. Let me double check that. Let's see where that 3.5 is. It looks like it's just east of the North Island area. 3.3, 8 hours ago. I'm looking for some newer movement, so I got to check all of these, the all magnitudes map here, and look for that 3-pointer. It's kind of offshore. Wonder if it's going to be this quake. Yeah, that's going to be the 3.4, about 5 kilometers deep. It is kind of in an odd location here, but that's going to be basically right about here across the plate boundary with the Hikurangi subduction zone. This is where the Pacific plate here subducts underneath this region. The Hikurangi is definitely a major player in producing some large earthquakes. That's kind of an odd one. Recently, we have been seeing a lot of deep activity here underneath the North Island region down into the deeper areas of the Hikurangi. So we'll have to watch here offshore, see if we get any further surface adjustment quakes here across the area. Right now, it's all very small earthquake activity, but got to keep an eye on that region. Over here across the northern end of the Kermadec Trench at 4.4, fairly deep. Down there at about 500 kilometers into the subduction zone. Look at the rest of the globe here. Again, fairly quiet. I mean, in terms of any uptick going on. I'm really surprised following that massive CME that hit us a couple days ago. Created some G4 class storming, not on this side of the globe, but across here. So we really haven't seen any major elevated earthquake activity following that event. So it's been 2 days already down. You can only give it so much time, right, between a yes or no in terms of the relationship between CME activity impacts here on Earth and the plate tectonics and potential elevated earthquake activity. So this one with a CME is probably going to be a negative. Prior to that, we did see some elevated earthquake activity following the arrival of the proton events that were from the X flare a few days back. So we'll continue to watch it. It's definitely something I like to keep an eye on in terms of potential earthquake uptick following space weather events. But it didn't play out there for this last one, for that CME. And you can't say give it a week, right? Because anything can happen in a week's time. I think it's got to have a fairly short window of opportunity, and most of the time, if it is going to occur, it's going to happen within the first 24 hours, not days later and weeks later. All right, South America, handful of quakes there, not a whole lot going on. I mean, small earthquake activity, yes, but nothing big going on there for now. As we can see there, nothing above 4.0, at least according to the USGS there. Puerto Rico region, handful of smaller quakes up there as well. Aside from that, what else we got here? The Atlantic Ocean looks pretty quiet. Let's go up to Iceland. And almost certain here that it's still continuing in terms of the eruption up there. There's at least one decent eruptive crater fountaining some beautiful lava flows. Now that's a pretty zoomed in close view here. Let's see what else we got. Maybe we can spot the other ones from a different angle. So there's still at least two. I still think there's a couple active vents. It looks like there's another one here further off on the side. Maybe we can see this one here. 1, 2, 3. So definitely still fairly active out here. This is day number 9, I think. It will be entering into day number 10 tomorrow. So a long duration event continuing here with the ongoing activity there across the Svartsengi region, northeast of Grindavik here, actually. Lava continuing to stack on top of older lava flows and continue to accumulate. Let me check out the earthquake activity, see what's going on here. Not a whole lot of earthquake activity down here across the region. We have been getting some elevated activity out here, it looks like, in the past couple days. I don't know what else is going on out there across that region. Let's see here. This looks like the region right here where that GPS station is. Just kind of looking for any signs of maybe any elevated activity out there in terms of inflation. I'm really not seeing it, at least on these graphs. The yearly flow, really not much going on specifically around that area. But, you know, the main area right now, of course, is going to be down here across the Grindavik area, where we're seeing that continued long duration event out here. The Icelandic Met Office did put out a little statement here today, talking about how the eruption seems to have subsided, but I don't see any signs of subsidence going on here. There's still quite a few active vents there, so I really don't see anything changing right now. But they're still mentioning here, and I think we're all in agreement that there's really not a whole lot of accumulation going on underneath this area. We're seeing magma moving from the deeper areas below and finding it's easily accessible to reach the surface here. So not a whole lot of magma accumulating far as inflation goes. Right here, they do mention GPS measurements over the last few days indicate that land rise is running or elevated, or maybe rising, I guess, in the Svartsengi, but much slower than before. It indicates that magma is still accumulating in the collection area under Svartsengi, even though there is an ongoing eruption. So, but still, we got a free flow of magma from that area up to the surface region. Let me check out the Svartsengi area GPS stations here and see what's going on. Yeah, I mean, we're still, obviously, it does look like some points here indicating some continual rise. I'm really surprised, though. This eruption here, way different than the past couple eruptions. It'd be interesting to see how this plays out with the free flow up to the surface occurring right now. All right, folks. We checked space weather. Severe weather outlook still looks like maybe we'll see some severe weather tomorrow around areas. This is kind of, it looks like it's overnight here across this area of the south. Some enhanced weather going on there, tornado potential. But far as the, let's see here. Maybe this is the day one. There we go. There's the current day one right here for Tuesday. That severe weather that they had today and a little bit overnight, it's going to shift way further to the southeast here, and the threat with it goes down as well. Still got a 2% chance for tornado probability and some wind. Doesn't look like a hail threat out there as all that much is a threat, but some wind out there as well. So we're finally getting we are finally getting a little bit of long-term weather models here that we're able to watch in terms of the eclipse that's going to be happening here on the 8th. This is a long-range forecasting model from the GFS. That's weather.cod.education/forecast. I'm using the GFS model, going down here to the average cloud cover, and this weather model goes out and forecasts the potential patterns out here. And as we go towards the April 8th time period, right about now, this is going to be Z time, so we're going to want to look at right about there, I believe, for that time frame of what is it, in the afternoon sometime, I think, when totality happens, or when it's at its peak. So we have what looks like a pretty clear shot through here. The cloud cover, of course, is going to be in the white, almost 100% cloud cover here, as it's shown on the little cursor. That's pretty decent. If this is the case here, a lot of Texas, a lot of Oklahoma into the clearing, and the path of totality kind of runs up in this region right here. So that's good. We'll have to continue to watch that, though. These models, they can be, I don't know, it's a ways out. So I'm continuing to check all of these models to see how things look at that time frame. So on this model here, this is the GFS model that runs a precipitation rate in terms of rain and snowfall and whatnot. So it does look like right about there. So that the area is just recovering off of a low pressure system. See all that rain being pulled up here Saturday into Sunday. Monday the 8th is when we're supposed to get the eclipse. It does look like it clears up by then, but this is kind of a close call here, so we'll have to watch. Things could slow down, they could speed up, but we'll continue to watch this on each day as far as the updates go and see if these models stay the same or not. But as of right now, it does look like a decent chance for clearing out here. We'll have to continue to watch that, folks. And I'm watching it pretty closely myself because I will be traveling out here from Northern California to Texas in the totality range here. And I don't want to drive the 24-hour drive out here if it's going to be cloudy and overcast. That basically will ruin, any potential photography and videography that I could get here of the eclipse. So otherwise, I'll just be out there streaming, getting videos of it getting dark here for a few minutes, and then it comes back light, with no visual of the sun. So I'm going to have to watch this and make a decision. But it's a little far out there. But we'll continue to watch that. As far as our recent weather here, we got a storm system knocking on the California door here. As we head into Wednesday, it looks like, into Thursday, a pretty deep low-pressure trough here off the California coast, bringing quite a bit of rain out here across the Sacramento Valley area, San Joaquin Valley as well. Snow up in the higher Sierra Nevada mountains, and Southern California going to get in on some of that moisture and snow as well. And after that low pressure wants to make some severe weather out here across the southern plains once again around early next week. And it just looks active. There's quite a few low pressures dipping down here, troughs occurring out here across the west coast as we head towards that April 8th time period. We'll continue to watch it, folks, and report back on if we get an accurate forecast. And that's not going to be until probably maybe 3 or 4 days prior to the April 8th time period for that total eclipse. So we'll definitely cover that once we get closer. All right, I think I am done. I hope everyone has a good night. Hawaii out here. I mean, it looks, what do we got going on here? A little earthquake. 2.0, nothing big, nothing changes. Nothing's changing right now anyway. And general earthquake activity looks fairly quiet. Hopefully I didn't jinx it, but it never fails. It seems like as soon as I end my update, after saying that, then we get a big earthquake. But right now, all the seismograph stations out here look pretty quiet, look pretty cool, calm. And we'll just watch it and see how things play out tonight. Have a good night, folks. We'll catch you guys back out here in the morning for the Tuesday morning update. Have a good one.